Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a mountain of raw data articles, intelligence reports, research papers, and we distill it all down into a coherent, actionable picture for you.
And today we're connecting some dots that you probably didn't know existed. We are going to be linking high-stakes geopolitical sabotage of physical infrastructure to a bizarre multi-trillion-dollar virtual crisis inside a video game.
Yeah, exactly. The mission for us today is to answer this one question. What do these wildly different events actually tell us about the foundational changes happening in the threat landscape and, more importantly, how you need to secure yourself for 2026?
We're really cutting through the noise today. This deep dive is designed so you don't just know what happened, but you understand why these events are fundamentally redefining the security game going forward.
Okay, so let's jump straight into the global theater because the line between state-sponsored espionage and, organized cybercrime, it's basically gone. It's evaporated.
It has. And to understand it, we really have to look at the evolution of the Kremlin's co-option strategy.
What's so fascinating here is the sheer calculation behind it. I mean, for years, Russia just sort of tolerated cyber criminals.
Right. There was that unspoken rule. You can run these massive global operations, just don't attack any Russian-speaking countries.
But it wasn't just tolerance, was it? The sources we have detail how it became a full-blown working relationship.
Oh, absolutely. These criminal groups were actively providing information. They were performing tasks for the key Russian intelligence services.
So we're talking about the FSB, the SVR.
Yep, the FSB, which is their domestic security, the SVR for foreign intelligence, and of course the GRU, their military intelligence. And in exchange for the government basically ignoring their criminal enterprise.
And not arresting them.
Crucially, these groups acted as, well, outsourced, deniable digital soldiers for the state.
It makes a kind of sense. The crooks get protection, and the government gets this deep, specialized talent without having the operations officially on their books. But has that changed since the war in Ukraine?
It has, but in a very nuanced way. The enforcement actions gain a little more aggressive. You see these occasional high-profile arrests.
But our sources, like Recorded Future, they're saying these actions are often just for show.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating action to the international community. The real shift is that cybercrime has become a direct tool of state influence and information gathering. They only enforce laws when an actor becomes politically inconvenient or, frankly, just too embarrassing on the world stage.
So if the Kremlin is directing this co-opted talent, where are they aiming them? Because Amazon's threat intel team just highlighted a specific vector that lines up perfectly with this.
They're targeting the network edge. And when we say network edge, we mean the devices that sit right on the border between your network and the public internet.
So your routers, VPN concentrators.
Exactly. And even cloud-based project management software.
Why the edge, though? Why not focus on finding some new zero-day in a core operating system?
Because it's easier. It's just the path of least resistance. There's a huge number of misconfigured edge devices out there, and it's much simpler to abuse existing poorly managed admin credentials than it is to invest millions in a new vulnerability.
So for an attacker, state-sponsored or not, this turns the network edge into a high-priority, low-effort target.
It's perfect for leveraging those co-opted criminal networks.
And this threat isn't always purely virtual. We also saw some pretty clear evidence recently of physical sabotage. Keeping your systems safe is super important as businesses rely more and more on digital systems, and that's where turnkey cybersecurity can really help.
Yeah, we're here to help small businesses just like yours make sure they're safe and sound in this crazy world of cybersecurity. And we offer a whole suite of services specifically tailored for you. So that's ensuring CMMC compliance and doing penetration testing. We also run vulnerability scans, and we can help you develop a comprehensive risk assessment.
And it doesn't stop there, right?
No, it doesn't.
We handle incident response, should the unfortunate happen, and we guide you through migrations like GCC. We just want to make sure your transitions are smooth and that you're secure.
It's all about peace of mind, right? You focus on what you do best, running your business, and we'll make sure that your digital world is safe and sound. Right, that brings us to the Baltic Sea incident. There was damage reported to 2 subsea telecommunications cables. One was Swedish, one was in the region.
And the Finnish authorities seized a ship they suspected of causing it. But the detail here is what's so suspicious.
Yeah, the Finnish border guard found the ship with its anchor chain lowered on New Year's Eve morning. This was not a navigational error in bad weather.
No, this shows a clear, tangible link between geopolitical intelligence and direct physical sabotage. They're trying to disable critical international communication links.
And when you connect that global threat to domestic risks, the challenge becomes even clearer. Senator Tom Cotton, who's the Senate Intelligence Chair, he recently raised huge red flags about open source software.
The risk, he pointed out, wasn't a single flaw, it was structural. It's the lack of a recognizable vendor. If there's a flaw in a Microsoft product, you know who to call, you know who has to patch it.
Exactly. In the open source world, who is really responsible?
And it becomes an existential threat when you find out who's maintaining some of these key components.
And we have a documented example of this. A Russian developer was the sole maintainer for a key piece of open source software that was being actively used in highly sensitive U.S. military applications.
Pause on the supply chain implications of that for a second. If that software was backdoored or even just allowed to decay without patches, it could create a massive systemic vulnerability.
It's a huge blind spot, and it shows the threat surface isn't just about sophisticated hacks, it's about subverting trust in the very building blocks of our digital world.
And speaking of existential threats to trust, we have to pivot. Let's go from physical cables and military code to the chaos of the virtual world. Let's dive into this staggering $339 trillion lesson from the Ubisoft breach.
That number, 339 trillion, it's shocking. But it's critical to remember it's a virtual figure. It represents lost potential revenue.
Right. But the real lesson here is how it failed. This happened in the game Rainbow Six Siege, and it basically just broke their entire in-game economy.
It did. On December 27th, players logged in to find this digital tsunami of free stuff.
Tell us what they got, because the scale is just absurd.
Okay, so every player was gifted 2 billion R6 credits and 2 billion renown. To put the credits in perspective, that translates to about $13 million per player.
13 million per player.
Per player, plus every cosmetic item in the game was instantly unlocked for free.
The marketplace must have just melted down.
Total meltdown, and the chaos spread. You had random players and even official Ubisoft accounts getting banned and unbanned for no reason.
So how did this happen? How did a massive virtual heist like this occur?
It was really a disastrous mix of managerial failure and technical exploitation. The reports indicated this long-running problem where their outsourced help desk.
The people with privileged access.
Exactly. They were apparently accepting bribes for years in exchange for granting illegitimate access.
That's a catastrophic personnel failure. No amount of firewalls can stop that.
Absolutely not. And then the technical side just made it worse. VX Underground noted that the primary culprit, and there were like 5 different hacker groups fighting over this, they exploited a bug in the company's APIs.
So it wasn't one hole, it was multiple exposed paths.
Multiple paths. And the company's response just shows you how bad it was. 30 minutes after discovery, they had to flip the power switch.
You mean literally pull the plug?
Literally. They took PCs, PlayStations, Xbox, the entire marketplace offline. It was a choice between a total blackout or a catastrophic virtual hemorrhage.
The takeaway for you listening is pretty clear. If you have something of value online, your security has to cover your tech, your processes, and your people. A bribed help desk is the human firewall failure of the 21st century.
It really is.
That sets the stage perfectly for what's coming next. So let's pivot to the essential reading list for the coming year. We've synthesized 5 critical predictions that define the 2026 threat landscape.
Right, and if the chaos we've just talked about shows us anything, it's that past strategies just aren't going to be enough.
Okay, prediction number 1. Identity will fully replace the network as the primary attack surface. This has been talked about for years, but now it's just the baseline reality.
What that means in practice is that attackers aren't trying to breach your firewall anymore. They're trying to steal the keys to your kingdom. We're seeing techniques like session hijacking or adversary in the middle attacks.
And maybe the most insidious one, MFA fatigue. For anyone listening who might not know, break that down for us. Why does it make traditional multi-factor authentication basically broken?
MFA fatigue is just constant harassment. The attackers get a legitimate login, and then they just bombard the user's phone with push notifications, hundreds of them. The hope is that the user just gets so annoyed, so tired, they just hit approve to make it stop.
So protecting just the login isn't enough anymore?
No. The requirement now is continuous identity threat detection. You have to monitor what happens after someone gets in.
Prediction number 2, and this is the inevitable one. AI is no longer optional. It's a force multiplier for both sides.
This is so critical. Attackers are using AI to scale their efforts, to make phishing campaigns more personal, malware more evasive. If your company isn't using AI to protect itself, you are definitively on the wrong end of the power curve. It's a necessity.
Prediction 3. Deepfakes are going to drive a massive crisis of trust.
We're already seeing it. It's eroding our confidence in everything we see and hear online. There are specific examples of companies losing millions because a finance officer was fooled by a deepfake audio clone of their CEO.
And on the geopolitical side, you have hostile actors releasing deepfake media to try and sway elections.
Exactly. If you can't trust video evidence, the whole system of digital proof just collapses.
Prediction 4 gets into internal risk. Compliance-driven security will be exposed as dangerously inadequate.
There's a huge difference between being compliant with a framework like HIPAA or PCI and being truly secure. Compliance is just the bare minimum the law requires.
Security is an active, ongoing state.
Right. We are going to keep seeing compliant companies get breached because their strategy stopped the second they checked all the boxes on a list.
And finally, prediction number 5. Security teams will start being measured on business enablement, not on their tool count.
This is a huge internal shift. Your CEO, your CFO, they don't care how many firewalls you've bought. They care if security is letting the business move quickly and safely.
So the metric is moving from reducing tool sprawl to demonstrating value.
Absolutely. Because too many tools can just mean more liability and more complexity. Security has to show how it reduces risk while enabling profitable business goals.
That one metric is going to change budget fights for years to come. Okay, let's wrap up with 2 big domestic issues. One is about data surveillance. The other is about a crucial government warning gap. First up, the Hisense data collection battle.
This is happening in Texas. A judge ordered the TV maker Hisense to immediately stop collecting viewing habits and data from Texas residents.
The mechanism they use is called automated content recognition, or ACR. Walk us through how that actually works, because the level of detail is, it's invasive.
It is incredibly aggressive. ACR works by taking snapshots of your screen. Think of it like a digital fingerprint every 500 milliseconds.
Every half a second.
Every half a second. It's looking for unique identifiers in whatever you're watching, whether it's cable, a streaming app, even a video game if your PC is hooked up. It doesn't need the cable box. It's all internal to the TV.
But what if you're not connected to the internet? How does that data get out?
It processes the data locally into these little fingerprints, and it just stores them until the next time the device connects to the network. Then it sends them out and sells them.
So the Texas AG said, the days of Chinese tech companies spying on Americans' televisions are over.
Right, but our sources were quick to impartially point out that the battle seems to be less about stopping surveillance and more about reserving that capability for American tech companies. It's a fight over who gets to watch you.
That is a chilling thought. Okay, but the second issue has massive immediate tactical implications. The loss of a key employee at CISA, who was running their early ransomware warning initiative.
This one person was the driving force behind actively warning companies that they were currently being targeted by ransomware actors. He was told to either relocate or leave the agency, and he left. The loss of that proactive intelligence is staggering.
We actually have the numbers on the scale of this loss.
Yeah.
This one employee issued about 1,200 warnings in 2023.
And 2,100 in 2024.
So that's over 3,300 active, targeted intelligence warnings that just won't be issued now.
And the core takeaway, the policy shift CISA communicated, is profound. Since the agency is not required by law to warn companies they're being compromised, organizations should now consider themselves tactically on your own.
That fundamentally changes the burden of security. And if you connect that CISA gap to the predictions we just discussed, especially the shift to identity, it just underscores the need for private industry to step up its game.
Proactive threat hunting is now an operational requirement. It's not a suggestion anymore. The threat actors, state or criminal, are simply better organized and more resourced than ever.
So what does all this mean for you as you're trying to budget and strategize? We've gone from physical sabotage of undersea cables to a $339 trillion virtual crisis. The bar for defense has been raised dramatically.
The focus now has to be on filling the intelligence vacuum that's been left behind.
Right. We just established that over 3,300 active attack warnings that were previously issued by CISA are now gone. If that crucial government early warning system is stepping back, how do organizations justify the budget increases for proactive threat hunting, specifically to fill this CISA gap? That is the real challenge of 2026.
Knowing you are potentially vulnerable is one thing. Knowing you are actively being compromised is something else entirely. And that knowledge is now completely your responsibility.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.